New drop on the merch shop, folks. Some people might think this is in bad taste, but I don't think so, not at all. We gotta send a message out there that we will not cower, we will not give up, we will not be intimidated. And the best way to do that is to flaunt it. You missed, Leftoids. Nice try. We'll see you in November. If you guys want to pick up the You Missed t-shirt, go to the link in the description and let everybody know you're standing with Trump. Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so at this point I'd argue that the optics here are pretty much settled. The question we've been asking over the last 5 days is, how are the people going to react to the escalation in left-wing political violence? Well, it really seems as though we aren't getting any curveballs here. Pretty much what you expected is exactly what you're getting, except for one little thing. Here's the little kicker. It's even better than you might have expected. Even the most unlikely of figures seem to be praising Trump, slowly moving towards that side. And trust me when I tell you it's a very unlikely figure. You saw it in the title, you saw it in the thumbnail. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, the guy behind the Zuckerbucks, just went publicly on the record singing Donald Trump's praise in the midst of this election season. I gotta tell you, I didn't think the moment would be this impactful. This news is absolutely astonishing. Let me show you guys exactly what's happening here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so the context here is quite clear. Really no need to say much more, just take a look at this.
I've done some stuff personally in the past. I'm not planning on doing that this time. And that includes, not endorsing either of the candidates. Now look, there's obviously a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. The historic events over the last, over the weekend. And on a personal note, it's, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. But look, it's, and I think, look, it's, at some level as an American, it's hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit and that fight. And I think that's why a lot of people like the guy.
I never thought I'd see the day. A tech CEO like Elon Musk coming out publicly and endorsing Trump or giving Trump praise, not exactly surprising. Mark Zuckerberg, I really never thought that I would see something like this. But lo and behold, everything's different now. Right after that assassination attempt, you could just feel it in the air. You could feel it while speaking to other people. It felt almost as if instantaneously everything was different. Everything changed. The course of American history had shifted almost instantaneously on the pull of that trigger. That was my initial prediction, but obviously I don't want to get too excited or bullish, and I certainly don't want to be naive. Baseline, I'm a little bit reluctant to jump the gun in situations like this, but at this point I think it's pretty fair to say that we're getting pretty close to unanimous consent on this issue. Not everybody has the mind of a cultist, even seemingly some people who have devoted themselves to the cult. Not everybody just blindly follows. Some people who are part of the left-wing world still seem to be a little bit intellectually malleable, willing to change their perspective, willing to change their mind, willing to be convinced. And one thing's for sure, the other day, it seems as though the whole world was convinced that Donald Trump was a man of courage, strength, and character, a man willing to take a bullet to the head, knowingly, willfully putting himself in danger to fight for the ambitions of the American people. It's getting to a point where it's too obvious. It's so obvious, in fact, that you can no longer deny it, even as a lifelong partisan. And every day these moments continue to stack. We've covered a couple already. Just the moment of Donald Trump walking out from the bad rooms, making his way into the crowd during the first night of the RNC.
Donald J. Trump.
That signal of strength, and most importantly, the message to the world that he's not giving up. That was one for the history books. That was amazing. But like I'm saying, these moments continue to stack. It's one after another. And I think people are frankly watching in awe. Here's another one of those moments from Trump's speech at the RNC. I'm sure everybody's aware, but for those of you guys who aren't aware, the firefighter's gear and uniform there that was posted on the stage next to Donald Trump, that was Corey Comparatore's gear, the man who was tragically shot during that Trump rally. Again, another heart-touching moment that played out right before our very eyes. Democrats, of course, will take the cynical approach, and they'll tell you it's just Trump, the con artist, taking advantage of this tragedy as a political tactic, a political strategy to boast his image, to make him appear more compassionate and human, but really he's still a sociopath Hitler. Right, there's always malicious intent behind anything Donald Trump does. It's always a staged event to manipulate the public into thinking that he's a real human being when really he's a murderous sociopath wannabe authoritarian. Democrats will default to the same thing over and over again in an effort to discredit anything that the man does, but the reality is that was a real moment. And again, probably everyone except for Destiny and his blue-green haired ilk, you know, the types of people who celebrate political assassinations and abandon their own families, but pretty much everybody else, all normal human beings with a conscience, were looking again in awe, able to emotionally connect. Honestly, it feels like the hysteria is kind of fading. It feels like the Trump derangement syndrome still exists, certainly, but those who have fallen under that spell seem to be becoming more and more of a minority. It feels like the masses are waking up from this TDS fever dream to finally realize the truth that Donald Trump isn't that bad. You know, it's the same thing that I always say, but it comes right back to the whole humanization of Trump. Honestly, it feels like a honeymoon period for the former president. And clearly there's a trend amongst business owners starting to finally see that light, and especially tech entrepreneurs. I'm pretty confident to say at this point, tech entrepreneurs getting onto the Trump train has become less of an isolated phenomenon and more of a clear, widespread trend. It's not just Elon Musk and David Sachs, Chamath Palihapitiya, the list goes on. It's Mark Zuckerberg and probably some other prominent figures as well who aren't confident enough to say it publicly. Now, I'm not jumping the gun and saying that Mark Zuckerberg endorsed President Trump, but he's certainly signaling a soft level of support. Pre-attempt on his life, that would have never happened. 2016, 2020, clearly this would have never happened. Something's happening. It's just like I said, it feels like a history-defining moment. You know, the moment it happened, the moment that shot was fired, that collective feeling that we all had, not only that initial shock and that sadness, only to be brought back up on our feet as we saw Donald Trump do exactly that, you know, clearly it was an inspiring moment for the ages, and it's obviously having a more than significant impact. And Mark Zuckerberg going on the record saying what he said, that is proof of that concept. Am I running around celebrating that Mark Zuckerberg's possibly on our team? Not really. Obviously, the guy has a lot of work to do to redeem himself, especially in the 2020 era. The purpose of this video isn't to sing Mark Zuckerberg's praise, but rather just to point out that if Mark Zuckerberg is saying this, then clearly the impact is much wider and much more significant than initially expected. It's changing minds, and obviously nobody can deny that. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.